How are you? Y'all engaged? Excited? Y'all aren't awake. Anyways, so what we're going to talk about today is community. In our community of Houston Gamers, if you haven't realized, we have an entire 24-hour video gaming segment across the hallway. What we're going to do today is basically talk about our community, who we are, you know, what we provide the rest of the world, and basically engage y'all, and hopefully we have a really fun time. So this is our first panel, so don't
judge us too much.
Don't judge us too much. Don't judge us too much. We are Houston Gamers. We're a gay gaming community, and one of the biggest misconceptions people have about us is that we're only a gay gaming community, only for gay people, and we're not. We are an all-inclusive organization, basically pushing... Straight person. Pushing for equality, really, for everybody, making sure everyone has fun in everything that they do and they're comfortable with who they are. I'm going to go around the panel and introduce, we'll let everyone introduce themselves and start with Kevin down here.
My name's Kevin. I'm a board member for that helps organize everything for Houston Gamers. So we have tons of meetups throughout the year, and it takes a lot of effort and planning.
Hi, I'm one of Lee. I'm
one of multiple Lees.
I'm one of the vice presidents. My name is Lee, and I am also a co-founder of Houston Gamers.
My name's Kimberly. I'm one of the co-founders as well.
My name's Eric. I'm the president and co-founder of Houston Gamers.
And my name is Jacques Bourgeois. I am the vice president and one of the founders of Houston Gamers. Let's basically talk about what's driven us to build this community. We built this community, for the most part, we're all a huge group of friends. You know, it's easy for us to push our way through life.
It literally was us sitting at a table and going around and finding out what our interests were. And basically everyone just went, video games, comics and video games, and we all went,
Turtles.
We had all just met each other in 1 week, so it was kind of like that was our bonding thing. And so we were kind of like, we're just sitting there, you know, we're just like, so how come we don't usually find people that engage in this type of conversation typically? And we're like, well, why don't we start something? And then someone was like, oh, well, you know, it's really hard, and you know, people just, you never know if they're gonna come. And it was just kind of like, well, why don't we just try and test it? And so we just posted it on Facebook and sent it out into the internets in all directions to see what would happen. And our first meetup, we had almost 40 people come, and it was kind of like, okay. So
yeah, we were set up in this little coffee house, you know, so it was a hit and miss, a bunch of friends all together.
And we all basically scrounged up everything we had. She brought Rock Band.
Guitar
there were
Hero at the
2
time.
TVs on the walls of the
guitar.
coffee
At the
house.
time, it was all nothing but Wii's, like the original Wii.
Hey, it was too popular.
And we didn't want anyone to break our PlayStations.
That's true.
Well, and then bringing in a Wii is a good way to bring in a community experiences. I mean, Rock Band and Guitar Hero, they're all games that even if you're not good at, it's still fun. It's like karaoke. You don't have to be a good singer to get up there and have a good time and rock out with your friends.
You have to be a good singer for me not to make fun of you.
That's it. And we also have no fail, so that no one has to be worried about like you're gonna make the band fail and everyone's gonna make fun of you and throw things at you. We don't do those things. So it's something that it's easy to engage everyone where they have a good time and they like what they're doing, and yeah, because really it is all about having fun and having a good time. Because otherwise, why would we do this all the time, every month, for over 5 years now?
And we were really lucky because that first night, like we said, we had at least 40 members, and so it was really encouraging and helped us continue to grow. And I think like having a good start, like really helps.
Sound silent.
It's on vibrate. Silence.
But one of the better things is that what differentiated us from other video gaming organizations is most people try to make it very personal and have it in their house or in something that if I were to just message everyone in this room and say, why don't y'all come to my house and hang out?
Let's
like,
play
it's like, you don't know me, right? So I mean, that's kind of weird right off the bat. And a lot of people, when they start some of these communities, they're like, I have a big house, everyone should just come over. And it's like, not exactly. I mean, video gamers are mostly introverted, And you want to feel comfortable and build that kind of, not safe, but just something that's more approachable for most people.
Yeah.
And having it in a public place makes people feel more comfortable that they can come and go without feeling, I mean, just like this panel, we're in a hotel. If this was in a basement underneath a warehouse, you'd be like,
this isn't? Well, like our panel title says, this is called Fair Play. And one of the biggest things we are dealing with is really diversity, for the most part, in the game community. People ask all the time. We tweeted out to our followers on Twitter last night and asked us a question about our panel tomorrow. What do you want to hear?
It was all about, what about trying to find inclusivity in places that don't realize that they're not inclusive? It's very hard sometimes for people to recognize that, oh, because we're doing it this way, or that we're, maybe having it like at someone's house or whatever, it's not something necessarily.
Everyone feels like they're included in it. We don't need it.
We're loud.
We're loud. We're live.
But it's not something that we have to, that people necessarily even realize that they need. It's very easy to overlook, not necessarily marginalized, but maybe people who aren't extroverted, that they're maybe, I was a very rare in my high school, and there wasn't a lot of girls who played video games. I marched a bass drum. I was one of like 2 girls in the entire school district that even played, an actual marching drum instrument. And there weren't a lot of people like me. So it's kind of hard sometimes to make sure that I would feel comfortable with something like that, or maybe as a gay person, someone would feel comfortable with something like that.
We approach that with the girl gamers. We approach that with gay gamers. We end up running into basically issues of people who don't feel included in their own community. I had a guy just yesterday, he walks past our banner. Well, he approached me past our banner, he reads the sign and goes, Gaymers, and he reads Gaymers, G-A-Y-M-E-R. It's just like, oh, so, well, why does it need to be Gaymers? And I told him, this is a place where people can feel. They look at it and go, oh, this isn't a place where I'm going to feel discriminated against.
This is a place for me.
How many of you have been online and kind of had somebody just be like, already? Already? I don't personally, and I'm going to use one of my roommates as a key factor. He will get online to an online game and just start yelling at someone feverishly. Big word.
Yeah.
And really just like yell at them. Even if I play with him, he's like, where are you? Where are you on your lane? And just kind of cussing me. I'm like, okay, I'm right here. I don't want to play with you anymore. I don't feel comfortable with this anymore. And this guy, he asked me, well, why do y'all need to have something separate? Why do you need something different that differentiates you? Just play the game. If you don't want, if people start to yell at you, why don't you just turn the game off and do something else? Which makes me stop and go, why do I have to leave my passion for something that you're doing? Why can't I have an area for my passion, where I can feel comfortable, playing my game and not have to turn it off? This is one of the reasons we address this.
I had something pretty similar. I mean, if most of you people are gamers, you understand the need for getting every trophy in a game, because you have to have that platinum. You've got to do that.
You get those trophies back on Rock Band yet?
No. And so one of the things that I did, because I play Rock Band a lot, I was really good at it and played it for years and years and years, way too much. But you have to have a whole full band to play. And so I was playing online with people, and there was this group of guys that I played with for probably about a year, and a year into it, someone just sent me a super inappropriate message on my PlayStation at work because my name was a girl name. And it was very terrible. It made me feel awful, and I couldn't play with my friends anymore because I don't want to play with that guy anymore. He made it this weird sexual thing because I have a female name. And it's like that if you play online, and I play Magic the Gathering online a lot because I'm a nerd. And so, a lot. And so, and I've had people talk smack because I'm a girl, and, God forbid I should play a video game and be a woman online.
Be the support character.
Yeah.
Support me with my magic.
Yes, I mean, that was another thing growing up. I'm older than most of the people in Gamers. So I grew up with the original, So I grew up with the original Nintendo. I grew up with the Super NES. And when I was playing, the original Final Fantasies and Chrono Trigger and all those games, the girl was always the healer who was second or third in the party. She never got to be the hero. I always had to play. When I started dating, finally, I would have my boyfriend's name as the main hero character, and he was always the one who got to win the game. While Kim, because that was when you could only have like 4 or 5 characters per name. So Kim was always the healer who would come in and sometimes die. And that was kind of a bummer. I wanted to be able to play the game and be important as well. And now with people like BioWare who've been putting out I see you
yeah, I'm a
great,
big fan.
right? So
I do have my critiques about it.
Yeah, me too. But Dragon Age Origins, I got to be the strong female, paladin who went in and made all her choices, and that was really exciting for me. That was when I finally started getting back into RPGs pretty seriously, and that was a big deal. It was nice to see myself represented in the things that I'd been playing for 25 or 30 years at that point.
Basically, the core reason why we created Houston Gamers was so that people could have a safe and fun place to make friends that were like them, that had similar interests. Because I know while I was growing up, I'm older than a lot of the people at Gamers. It was the 90s, it was the 90s, and being gay was not as, it's still not as well accepted now, but it was even worse in the 90s. I'm not complaining too much because before then, I would have been stoned to death. So that's pretty good.
Stoned to death.
But anyways, it was hard meeting other guys like me that had similar interests, because everyone at the time felt like they had to fit in a certain kind of mode, like certain things, dress a certain way. So not many people were into comic books, not very many people were into video games, just nerd culture in general. So it's lonely when you can't find people that are like you with similar interests. So that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to create a community like Houston Gamers, was so that people could make friends, people could feel connected, people could feel part of a community.
That's part of the community. I'll correct the grammar right here, because right now on this panel. See how they look at me?
Grammar Nazi. This is our proofreader.
Oh, my.
A little intense.
And it's early, sorry.
It's not early enough. We don't have enough Red Bull.
And honestly, this is our first panel, so we're
nervous.
We're a little nervous. And
Y'all need to wake up for me.
We appreciate everyone coming too.
Making me feel. I see you.
But anyways,
I know some of us shared personal stories, but to just kind of, I guess, break down as to a little more why I have used video games as my medium. And everyone has something that they love. As an organization, we have a lot of interests kind of come and go over the years. We've done tournaments, comic book meetups, going to the movies all as a group. We're going to be doing RenFest this fall because a lot of people express interest for it. We're here at this convention because people express interest for it. There's a lot of things we do based on interest levels, and people know that if they approach us with something that they love and they have a passion for, we'll get just as energized and excited to do it with them. And so we kind of drive most of those factors forward with that. But as far as my personal story, I moved around a lot as a kid because my dad was in oil, so we moved from state to state. And one of the easiest ways when you were 10, 11 years old, around, at least when I was growing up, just going, hey, so what video games are you playing, was the easiest way for me to find
the icebreaker.
Yeah, I found with common interest. Super Nintendo was still way hot. When I first moved to Dallas, I remember running down the street to see how they did Bowser's Castle, and then I could run home and figure out what door they just used. This was pre-internet days, people. It was crazy.
It was.
You can't just Google what's going on in this castle and how to get through the doors. I was like, okay, they use 5 and 10. Okay, 5. But it was the easiest way to make a large group of friends, and it was something you could really bond over. And I didn't spend all my time inside, but it was the easiest way to find something that everyone kind of got into. Because I moved around a lot, and that was always just the easiest way to get to know someone, and someone always had a better game than you or a better system, and so you'd go over to their house to play, and then you'd get a better system, and all of a sudden they'd be like, oh my god, let's play Donkey Kong Racing. And so then all of a sudden you have more people sharing and more people playing, and then all of a sudden you have a new group of friends. And it starts with video games, but then all of a sudden you're doing other things, going to movies and hanging out all the time. And I mean, that's kind of like how our group mostly starts. People come because they want the video games, but they leave with friends, and they find more of a community, less about just being gay or that you love video games, but finding the friends in a city that's so spread out and so hard to just make a genuine connection with someone. And I think our group does it really well in the fact that you can leave with at least 5 people every meetup that you actually can say, I made a personal connection with this person, and I would really like to do stuff with this person.
I mean, that's the great thing about the video games. It's a fantastic icebreaker, especially if you are an introvert. It's, hey, can I jump in on this Smash Brothers game? And you start playing, and you're like, oh wow, you were really good. And then you want to battle again. You start talking, and you can casually talk without the pressure of just me and you. You have this third mediator object of game that you can chat over, and then after that's done, somebody else wants to play, you can continue on the conversation because you've already started it. The pressure's gone. You've met the person. And that's why we always have meetups, we have board games. It's just the way to kind of sit down and say, oh, you like this game too, and that's the starting point. And that's why you can make friends so easily there, and it's a great environment. And once you've made friends, you want to go to the movies with friends, you want to hang out, you want to go to dinner, or I mean, it's the great way to meet like-minded people, even if it's not just video games, but just nerds in general. I mean, personally, I'm a terrible gamer.
Me too.
I've never been to Zelda game. It's like one of my dirty little secrets. But I love the community so much that it's a great place to meet people that are into comic books, movies, that are techies, because I'm a huge geek. But it's one thing to be in a group online, but it's a whole other experience to actually hang out with them. It's a whole other dimension where you get to really see who they are. You get to spend 24-hour gaming sessions, just binge. And that's one of the great things about it. It makes our community just grow and grow and grow for 5 years now.
5 years.
And we've grown so much that we've had to do spin-offs of, we have dedicated just for handhelds, where we have board games and card games, because, even though we're a video game group kind of thing, we're not really just video games anymore.
Not everybody plays a video game,
It's the community.
Some people are very into, to me personally, I'm not a big video gamer. I'm much like Kevin and like the little black sheep of this whole organization, shut up. It's crazy. But what drives me the most is I love people. I like to be around people. I don't always seem as excited about being around people, but it really excites me, you guys. And the connections that we make, and the fact that I get to make we get to network and make this huge, to me, family. And I say it all the time, I think of all of our events as like a little family game night, because every time my family gets together, first thing we do is, we eat, we drink, we play cards. Who's playing spades? To me, this is an extension of my family. And I feel this is a way we've continued to grow, is because we all function like a family. We all act like a family for the most part, not just, the standard group of friends. Girl, you late?
And it helps out too because
And again, his family, so we're not
and it helps too because Houston is so widespread, and a lot of people have moved here for the oil industry or other industries, and they don't have family here. And it's hard when you're by yourself and you don't have someone that you can be with for anything, much less be with for specific nights. It's fun. We try to have holiday get-togethers. We make sure that people have somewhere to go and do something.
Who's that couple you were talking about last night? That's moving down here?
Oh, yeah, I mean, we have, one of the few games I have played for a while, and I only play with people, I play PC occasionally, so we were playing Guild Wars. We created a guild, and we were just kind of going along, doing some missions. I think Eric was there too. We met a guy named Nathan, and he loved just playing with us because we were super positive. You know, there's jumping puzzles. I can't jump, so I'm continuing to and he just loved that we really didn't give up. It was just a fun experience. We'd be on Ventrilo, which is a TeamSpeak type thing. And he loved playing so much that he joined our group, even though he's not in Houston. And he's constantly posting on our wall. Him and his boyfriend just graduated. They live in California, in like Kentucky or something. But they're looking at a place to move, and they're actually really considering Houston just because of the community that's already here. That they know that I can move into the city and I have, 300 friends that I can meet on a monthly basis at the meetups and so forth. 1,500 in the whole area wide. And plus we have a good job market. But they want to move, they're considering moving here just because the community that's present.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, in the reverse of that, we have members that have been here and then had to move away to like Dallas, and they don't have a community there, and Austin. And so they have started to mimic our community, our build-up, and we're helping them. So they have now a Dallas Gaymers and a Longhorn Gaymers. Mm-hmm. And it's because they love the community so much and they didn't have that family, the friendship, and so forth, that why not? I mean, we're everywhere.
Yeah, that's something that we really want to encourage. We want people to find their own community within their own city. It's all about unity, and it's all about creating a place that's safe for people that are like you.
Just finding people who identify with you. How many of you out there actually have tried to build a community, like missteps or anything like that you've done? I mean, has it been successful?
Generic communities, but I don't know if
I'm sorry, what?
Not gamer community.
Well, yeah, just the community in general.
Oh, well, community manager, hello.
Your job, don't.
And what type of groups have you tried to make?
Yeah.
I've tried to build gaming groups. I've also tried to build groups where people just get together and they share their ideas for writing and things like that.
Okay. And that's a very common type of group that people will get together. Myself as a journalist, I run into people all the time who want me to edit their stuff and go, well, you want to be part of my writing community? And I'll kind of go, hey, and just never look at their stuff. What I was going to ask is, well, what's the misstep or whatever your community
The misstep for me is that I am not good with people. I'm not good at speaking. I have autism.
That's totally me.
They don't like to let me talk to anybody.
What you don't know is I'm running on 2 hours of sleep and my legs are like just shaking this whole stage. I get so nervous about running any of these things, but it's really weird that when I get into a business mindset for gamers, all of a sudden that shyness disappears. But if you were to catch me on the street, I bet.
Well, one of the two huge bits of advice that I learned with being involved in Gaymers is first find a couple, just like 2 or 3 friends that have similar interests to you. I mean, that's what's great about living in the age now, is that we have the internet and we can connect to people locally who are interested in the same things that we are. Once you get at least a couple of friends who are really close with you and are willing to help you and that you can rely on, then I would say find a public place where you guys can meet, and then just put yourself out there and see who else is interested.
In all directions. Just shotgun blast it out.
Yeah, just everywhere.
I mean, starting small. As soon as you have 3 people, it's a community.
That's community.
And then when you go from there and saying, hey, we just meet up here, once every other week or something at the coffee shop. We were in a drive-through coffee shop.
We started in a drive-through coffee shop.
And now, we've just grown out. We've grown out of 2 different places just because
3
different places. And once you start, you'll be surprised at how quickly it can snowball. Just don't give up. Have someone that you can. No one wants to go it alone ever. No. Have one other person, 2 other people, and it's surprisingly easy once you have someone else to help lift the weight.
Believe me, we've been doing this for 5 years. We have, for the first 2 years, it was 1 meetup every month, typically the last Saturday of every month. When we ran into year 3, we doubled our events. You can imagine that the burnout at first was a little intense. And we're like, no, we have to take I was like, I'm burned. I was like, I need to just take a month off. And we were like, no, we have to keep going. We have to remain consistent.
Because
one of the biggest
your
things is
demand
if you
does
burn
not
one somebody
decrease
1 month.
because you want it to decrease.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's remaining consistent, remaining completely open. You never know if all of a sudden you were to bring like 16 of your friends to one of our meetups, but that month I'm feeling tired or derpy and I just want to go sleep. Like, I just lost a chance of making you feel welcome into our community that one Saturday. And it really is that crucial to just have consistency. Even if it's every other Thursday you're going to meet. Just establishing that routine is enough for someone to say, well, we meet every other Thursday. Someone can go, oh, I can't make it this Thursday, but let me mentally plan for that second Thursday that's, of the month. And it's really, just having a schedule like that is enough to at least get the ball rolling a little bit.
Get them excited about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, as you're saying, for after year 3, well, you started with 3 or 4 board members that were dedicated to organizing it. We're now up to, what, 12? Because we have so many sub-events, saying, hey, this is your project. You're going to go in and be in charge of the movie nights. You're going to be in charge of the game. So, again, you're not doing it alone. It's a little easier. You still have your primary focus and passion, but you get help along the way, and you just grow. So, no matter what group you're in.
People too, because like we do have so many new members, and so when people come to the bar where we have our typical event, they walk in, somebody's at the door, like maybe it's me,
Booze
maybe it's
is an
Sean.
important factor.
Yeah,
Always
and-
remember, when building
Oh, it's
community,
important for ours.
booze, every community booze is
A
an
poetry
important
session
factor.
I can't see people getting.
Wine is wonderful.
It's poetry, you need booze.
Wine is wonderful.
But so it works.
Why?
It works that somebody's at the door. We ask,
Oh,
have you
nice.
been here before? And if they've not been here before, we put an asterisk on their tag so that they
And
know.
we harass them all night.
harass them
But this is
while
when you
we're-
get to the
Right.
level, like, what is this monster that I've created? Then
Right.
you need to start planning these things.
Yeah,
We
I
don't
mean,
want-
obviously not right away if there's 3 of you. Hopefully you know the other people. But it's been something. So like he said, maybe he's tired. We have a lot. We all have lives. We all have things that we do. We're very passionate about other things outside of Gaymers.
Yeah.
So it's hard to maintain that level every time. But you don't want to isolate someone because you were tired or because you were hungry or you had a crowd day or whatever.
Yes.
So it helps to have everybody else who can help you and make sure that, if something happens, what if there's a death in the family and someone can't show up? You just need to have basically backup,
How many of you are actually like involved in the community, like online, say like a guild in like World of Warcraft or something simple like that? Really,
I'm
it's
sure you
just
guys are involved in like things like Reddit community
Yeah.
and
nothing.
yeah.
I'm trying to get you to raise your hand. I'm trying to get y'all to raise your hand. I'm just trying to get y'all.
Google Plus.
Oh.
Google Plus.
Google Plus works. Are you on Facebook? You have to be on Facebook.
Yeah.
There's your community. Also, you should check out our new website.
Please check out our
Please check out our new website. This one was a genius in designing it over there.
The website, I do have to say, is really nice. When I first moved to Houston a few months ago, I looked at it and I was like, oh, what's this? And I found people in the forums. I could register without problems, so kudos to you guys on that.
Thank
You
you.
can congratulate Aaron Chen right
Yeah.
here, because that man is a genius.
Mhm.
I love you, Chen. Is that recorded?
I mean, one of the big things we did is we never want anyone to fall through the cracks, and that's why we
No.
have dedicated people now to just, is this your first time? All right, and we make a little note, a little asterisk. So even if they're an introvert and we don't want them to sit in a corner by themselves, we're going to say, have you played a game yet? Well, let's go play Smash Brothers, or let's go play Dance Central, even though I have no rhythm. We're going to do it together. We're going to fail together. It's whatever.
This one right here, she always wants to play Injustice with me. Always a fighting game.
I'm not
Knowing
very
she's
good,
going to
though.
lose every time. Knowing she will lose
Not
every
very good. I
time.
think
But I
that's-
mean, it's something we do. You beat me that one time.
Did twice.
That's the great thing about
Proudly tweeted it too.
that's the great thing about Houston Gamers too, is like there are a lot of introverts that are gamers that kind of want to make friends, but they have that crippling fear of like being out in public. Well, you can sit down at Houston Gamers and you can just sit in front of a machine, play a game all day, and no one's going to judge you for not speaking to anyone else. They're going to come beside you, ask if they can play with you, and you'll have that interaction that you've wanted, and you'll have that chance to make friends.
And I found this, to me, it's my little manipulation of these little introverts, because I'm going to make everybody an extrovert. I really am. It's my dream. Did my eyes glow when I did that? one of the really, really neat factors that comes into Houston Gamers, especially, I'm doing the game category. Sorry. Is we find all these little introverts, you know, people who are so very reserved and in their shell, you know, and just them being inundated within our community, they go, oh, they relax and then they open up to other people, and within their normal lives, they actually open up and just become like these normal extroverts, like and speak their mind, you know. And I'm like, oh my God, you're like a real person now. Thank you.
I mean, we've had people walk in and they just go, I don't play video games. I was like, well, what do you do? Like, well, I do this, and then I play Dungeons and Dragons. Like, why did you just say it like that? Well, I don't think it's the right place. And so I was like,
there's 30
we're going
people
to
over
change
here.
this. And so I just grabbed him by the hand and ran him through the place. And I was like, anyone Dungeons and Dragons? No. I found people on the back patio, and it was like 3 out of the 5 people were like, yeah, we play every Friday. And he's like, really? I want to play. And then all of a sudden they both lit up, and they made a connection, and I'm pretty sure they're still playing together.
It's still same game.
But once their eyes locked and like all the little glitter was flying out of their eyes because they were so excited they found somebody that they could relate to, I was like, back in the ring. I was like, my work is done. But I mean, some people just feel like, I mean, just anything. I mean, really anything. We have like some obscure Japanese card games that I know they don't know anything the cards say, and they're probably just making up half the laws and the rules of the game. But they bring it on our handheld event, and they teach other people how to play, and they get sucked into it. And then some people are like, oh my God, you have this game? I have not played this in like years because I didn't think you could get it, and blah, blah, blah. And they'll just nerd out, and they'll find that one thing that they might not have ever thought that they had such a passion for. And then all of a sudden, they find someone else that does, and it just reignites their love for what it is.
You guys have any questions? Anything?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's just something I just want to share. So, online on a G Plus blog that I follow,
Yeah.
One of the guys, and it's a blog I follow, and he seems like a reasonable guy, but he had this rant about, you know, when did social issues become such a thing in gaming? I'm a tabletop RPG or OSR vein type, and it's a bunch of 40-year-old white heterosexuals like myself. I mean, it really is, you know. And so I was trying to explain to them, you know, yes, we do have to say that everybody's included. That is important. And they're saying, he's like, but I'm playing an elf. Who am I going to make fun of? You know, I mean, like, but no, you do have to say, yes, everybody's included. So that's kind of the argument that I'm running into. All of these people are saying that gaming is naturally inclusive, role-playing, you know, and that we don't have to say that everyone is welcome. And I say we do. So
Yeah.
See, I have an answer for you too on that, because it's interesting, you know, comic books and especially like things that run into the fantasy world, you know, a lot of our social issues throughout the day are used as metaphors, really. Like, you know, comic books, X-Men per se or whatever, was a comic book built to deal with really issue of racism, you know. Most people, I did not know this until maybe like a month and a half. Is Bernie in here?
No.
No.
Like 2 months ago, he told me apparently Malcolm X and Martin Luther King were a metaphor for Professor X and Magneto, and I was like, mind blown. I was like, wait, no, it all makes sense. It really does. You know, but to answer your question is, why is it an issue within like all these? Why are these social issues and big thing in all these games and stuff like that right now? It's because that's how it's brought into mainstream, you know, and how people deal with it. They deal with it in the fantasy world and go, okay, I'm dealing with it here, and it's not real life. Because who wants to deal with real life in Anderson Cooper? Deal with Anderson Cooper any day. Who wants to deal with it in real life? You know, because you know it gets boring. I'm a journalist and I get bored by news. You know, not really, but I do really. But it's nobody wants
It's
to really
an easy
face
way to
reality. It's
look
easier to deal with real big issues if you think it's a fantasy or you think it's
Well, it's a
not
good
as
way to
crucial.
talk about it
It's
without
easier.
having to call people out. It's a good
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
for you to be able to look at something and then go, oh, you know, I never thought about it that way, or I didn't quite realize what it meant.
Yeah.
And now that I've looked at it from this point of view, oh, well, maybe I need to understand what else is going on.
I think the important thing to take it away from that is everyone just needs a little empathy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially
people,
online.
I feel like white middle-aged men who see like people like, oh, this is like a black gaming community or this is a gay gaming community. They get so offended by that because they're like, well, why are you separating from us? Why can't you just be a part of like the nerd community? Well, those are necessary for people who feel like there's no one like them, like to connect together, and that's something that they don't really realize, and that just takes a little empathy. And I know, like, from my experience, like, being a gay man, like, when the transgender movement, like, really started, like, taking off and they really got a fire lit under them, they started separating us and, like, bio-gendered people. They started separating them by giving them the title cisgendered. And when I first heard that, I was really offended. I'm like, why are you, like, separating, like, the G from the why are you separating the T from the LGBT community? Why do you have so much rage, like, set against this? And when I stopped and, like, I applied a little empathy to it, I'm like, well, there isn't a lot of understanding towards the transgender community, and it's still really oppressed. And they do need to form their own community, they need to form their own family, and if they need to separate themselves and form their own strong bonds, I can't really blame them for that, because I've had to do the same thing.
I mean, one of the nice things about our group that people may not realize is that, yes, we are gamers. It's kind of like what is the main magnetism of our group and so forth. But as we have with Kimberly and countless others, we have tons of straight couples and friends that come by. And
entire families.
They come and stay because they realize that this is a very different type of gaming community. It's a positive experience. It's, you know, finally Xbox is changing their user rating system or whatever, where it's, you know, good gamer, needs work, avoid me.
Yeah.
They're finally getting back because they realize that it's a problem. I mean, when you're on those communities and somebody's constantly cussing or whatever else, so they're constantly trolling.
Are using slurs.
Yeah,
slurs is
you
the
can give
worst.
feedback, and they're only going to be paired with other trolls, which is great. Or they get banned, whatever.
Which, if you're an introvert, it only takes one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you walked into an event and someone were to say, ugh, can't believe you play that game, your self-esteem has gone from half bar, because you're already introverted, down to nothing. And you're just going to be like, I don't feel welcome, I don't want to be here. And so our whole goal is that you always feel like you're never going to be taken down for any of your interests, because we're accepting of everything, and everyone in our entire group does something that they have a passion for that no one else cannot. Like, because they just love it.
It's getting your passions aligning with other people. I mean, the thing that I always am amazed with and love is whenever we do the Pride Festival.
Yeah.
We always have the biggest, most popular event there because we just do a simple dance game. But people walk by and there's only 4 controllers, but there's 10 to 12 people dancing.
No, there's like 20 people dancing.
And when it starts raining, we put...
We have a grandmother who brings her like 7-year-old, and he's been at the Pride for the last 3 years.
He and his grandmother come to the Pride every year, and they're always looking for us. And they are adorable, and they just dance the heck out
That
of
little kid
that
has
game.
so much energy. I wish I had that.
His grandmother does too. She is just like, I'm there, I'm with y'all.
We had Red Bull give us Red Bull, we still didn't have us. That little kid did. He danced for like 5 songs in a row. We're just like, someone take the remote from him. He's gonna fall over.
Well, that's the thing. It's really about the community, and you're welcome no matter what. It's just this was our initial aligning passion, and they realized that it is a very different gaming group, and that's why we created. That's why we push so hard every single month and create new events, because we want those like-minded people to really stay together, and they're friends, they're family now.
And part of the thing that we're doing too is we're helping the community. Like, we've done food drives, we do toy drive for Texas Children's Hospital every Christmas for.
It's always the biggest toy drive.
Yeah, we get a ton because we're
'Cause they're good
nerds. We
toys,
love
too.
toys.
Oh,
like,
God.
I buy a bunch of Legos and take them. So
Half
that,
of our people
you know,
buy a toy for themselves and then buy the toy for someone
I
else.
also
Usually it's the same toy. They'll be like, I bought it for the kid, but then I wanted one
I
myself.
did go back and buy Lego. Lego Space Shuttle. Why did I not get one for me? That's the worst mistake I've ever made. But so we've done toy drives, we do food drives, we do
Extra life.
We're building
Extra
bikes
life.
this fall.
We're
yes,
building
we're building
bikes.
bikes for kids in school who don't have any.
Yeah.
And like, it's important to us to help out and to give back. And I mean, we put a lot of time into Gamers. I mean, we have at least two events every month. We have board meetings. We
6.
have to, we got to get there early. We have to. Oh, right, rock band. Sorry.
Yeah.
We have
6 events
to.
every
Forget
month.
about rock
Every
band.
Thursday.
Sorry.
Every Thursday.
So every Thursday at 13, come and play rock band. And we have to get there early. We have to set up. We have to break down. We have to make sure that everybody's welcome. We have to make sure that the equipment is there. And for a long time, I mean, this was my personal PlayStation with the songs that I bought every day, and brought it up, and we erased it twice.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's something else. And but this was out of our. We think it's a couple. But this was money out of our pockets. We bought batteries. We bought new games so that people would always have something to do. But this is us being excited and wanting to give back and help out and have somewhere to go.
And we
Can we answer your question?
That
That was like the longest round table. So just want to make sure you got one.
But there's a question in the back.
So one of the things that I've noticed with gaming is there is a lot of rapid-phobia. You can say whatever you want, there's a punch you through the screen. And
Louder.
you
Louder.
Work with other exterior groups to help kind of, bridge that gap and work with non-gay groups to kind of help address the whole homophobia in gaming in general.
That would be something really good. And we're talking to a couple places that are not necessarily gay bars or whatever. And our hope is that it's something that it can blend the community better. And I mean, a lot of people, I said this in an interview we did last year, gay people aren't scary. I know that maybe you think you don't know a gay person, you probably do.
I mean, if you meet this one, we can understand.
Yeah,
He's a little
intense.
He's too sassy.
But I mean,
We didn't say that. That's someone backing
I did pay her money.
But it's a good way for people just to, when you meet someone who's not like you meet someone from a different country, or you meet someone who, had different experiences, who like things that you don't like, that's so exciting. Like, it's so exciting to go to a different country or meet a different person. And when you have that with a group of people who are so diverse, and there's so many people, you learn something all the time. Like, I'm excited. I'm a big giant nerd. I'm a huge geek. I'm a big nerd. I want to learn stuff all the time. I want to meet new people and try new things and go new
You
places.
should see how many notifications she has popping up of all the games that she has running on
Don't.
her phone.
I have a lot of games.
But to answer your question, that's why we're doing this.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
that's why we're here. We're trying to reach out to more people.
Thanks again for
Extra
coming.
Life is a huge nonprofit that does a 24-hour video gaming segment. We've participated in several years. We meet some great people through them.
Yeah.
And then not to mention, it's all for a great cause for the kids.
Yeah, it raises money for.
But we're also trying to compete in a video game competitive circuit where we're trying to get that together.
Yeah, I
Kinda
think in
scary.
short, like Houston Gamers was our response to that homophobia and all those slurs, and misogyny in the gaming community. So, I mean, we'd love to do something to help more, but I feel like this is what we're doing now. If you have resources on how we can get more involved globally to address that problem, just let us know.
Yeah, and we'll
Because
start.
that's something we've always been interested in.
Because we'll definitely start local too and roll it out.
And like, if you know of a group that has our main driving force of inclusion of a great community that has the same ideals we do of it's a positive gaming experience, I mean, we're all about growing and expanding and making more connections. But that's our first and foremost thing is the community and making it a fun place to be.
It's all about your community. It's about driving your belief forward of everybody should be included. We talk about all our events, we'll bring all of our members in, we provide something for everybody, but it's really just that idea we should all be together. I can look at everybody in here and be like, you're all gonna be my friends, especially you, Power Ranger Lobodell. It's having that feeling of community, and I think that's really what drives our members to go, I love this, or whatever. How many of you watch Naruto, or at least read it? Or do we have
I
any
used
Naruto?
to.
Yes,
Just kidding.
yes. It is my ninja way. That's kind of how I feel like it whenever I think about gamers. It's just like, it's just my ninja way. We all have to be together. Hokage.
Believe it.
There was one question back here, and
And
then
then we'll go to
then
you.
we'll get yours.
Yeah, I was just curious if each of you could give your top recommendation for others in other cities, Vegas, San Francisco, Seattle, the middle of Alaska, wherever, to get a group like this started?
Start with Kevin.
Wait, what was that?
If you have a recommendation of, say your question again.
What's your top recommendation? If somebody somewhere in a city that doesn't have a group like this, how do they get started?
First, you have your passion of whatever it is, so you have the drive to go the long haul. And then get a friend, as we mentioned earlier, is get somebody else to help share the load, and you add another person, great, you're a community already. Then a regular schedule and public venue,
yes.
or even if it's just at a coffee shop. Like I know some people, so many different little groups meet at Agora. It's a comfortable environment that may suit your passion. So if it's poetry reading or whatever, maybe you do a small room at like a La Madeleine or something else that you can kind of be able to chat in a quiet place. And then once you got 2 or 3 people, create a Facebook group, because that is the easiest way to reach out. And if you have a couple friends that maybe have that similar passion, but you don't know about it and they don't really broadcast it, they know that there's a group now, and they're like, oh, you know what? I'm kind of busy this week, but they're going to be there in 2 weeks, so I'm going to try to make it there.
Don't just stop online either. You need to. Don't just stop online either. You need to print out flyers. You need to go to cons. You need to spread the word.
I forgot we did that. Like when we first started, he and I would just like go to the little shops and like, can we give you our stuff?
Well, our first Pride, we went from 40 members to I think 80 members, just because we were handing out flyers at the Pride Parade, and it keeps doubling and quadrupling like every year, because we're going out there and we're spreading the word.
If you're not aware already, we are at 1,567 members. 87, correction.
It sounds like the top message from all of you is the consistency.
Yes.
To show
Consistency
that
is huge.
I can go next Thursday.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, in the beginning, when you're starting off small, it's really helpful to find places that can take care of half of your needs right up front. The coffee shop worked best for us because they had TVs on the wall that were already ready for us to just come, plug in, and do it. It made it easy for us in the beginning. Once we had that established going,